So, as we consciously recognize the presence that's here, we're present, we're here, there is presence here. You might notice a contrast like, oh, how am I not present? What is that like? What takes me away? And just a little kind of inner inquiry around that question. What takes you away? And there's no should around this, like, oh, you should always be aware and present in every moment. We're not. That's how we are as humans. We live and we're in stimulating environments, most of us. We're not monks. We live in a world that has stimulation. Even if you're a monk, you're going to get taken away. So there's no perfection in being a monk. But how can we be a monk in the marketplace, right? In the world of families and work and stuff to do. How can we bring that presence here? So one thing you might notice right away is slowing down. That in order to be present, if you're going at warp speed, you're probably losing it. Now, certainly it's possible to come from stillness and be quite in doing mode and busy and productive. Very possible, but that comes from an inner silence. It comes from clarity and freedom, and there's just action that happens. That's certainly possible. But I think for a lot of us, a lot of the time, it's just kind of, we're the hamster on the wheel, right? So what would it be like for you right now just to slow it down a little bit, just out of curiosity? Not that you should, but just to explore that, slowing down. Not going right on to the next thing. Sitting. And I think for some people, what might come up is a fear of boredom, fear of what's this moment going to be like? When we're moving quickly, we kind of have a sense of what it's going to be like. We know it's limited, but we know. But in actually sitting here, not doing, we don't know. Pure openness. So we take the mind out of it. So what would it be like to have an infinitely open mind? Open mind. Like the sky, like big open sky. Nothing in it. And then in contemplating that question, what closes your mind down? Where do you go from infinite possibility to some kind of tunnel vision? With an expectation, a hope, a routine, a story, a familiar story running around in your mind. That's how the mind closes down. And then that openness is forgotten. It's always possible to be open. We just don't pay attention to the thoughts. We just let ourselves be fully here. That option is always here. And then we get caught up, right? Familiar thought patterns or beliefs about how things are supposed to be or how they shouldn't be. I don't like this moment. I want a better moment. That's mind. The mind is saying there's something wrong with this moment. In reality, there's nothing. This is the moment. It's not that it's wrong or right. It is. This is what it is. This is what you got. So if your eyes aren't closed already, you're invited in to soften your gaze or close your eyes. And contemplate as best as you can, feel into an open mind. So it's not a mind confined to the head. No. I mean, when we think about how open the mind can be and the head, I mean, they don't even go together. The mind is not in the head. So with your eyes closed, just feel into that open mind space. It may have things in it, like emotions or stories might be running, but you can stay as this openness. So take a breath as this openness. And then what you might notice is a deeper sense of silence. So it's spacious mind, open mind. There's a quote I like that says something about being poised in all directions, being fully available to whatever might come. Not expectantly, like, because there's a little tension in that, right? Like, oh, what's going to happen next? But to be so incredibly relaxed that you're open to whatever might appear. And if this is hard for you for any reason, just play with it, just as best you can. What are the thoughts that appear that contract your thinking? And then see if you can shift your attention away from those thoughts and just be here as this openness. The thoughts can come, no problem. But we identify ourselves as openness rather than with the content of the thinking. So that's the thing. We don't have to stop thinking. We just have to stop thinking that the thinking defines us. It's about identity. It's not about thoughts coming or not coming. It's about where is the seat of who you are. That's a really important distinction. Where is the seat of who you are? If it's in the thoughts, we all know what that's like to live in our stories and judgments and self-judgments. But if we don't take the thoughts as true and real, they can be there, but they don't define who we are. That's where the freedom is. So it's not finding a better you who's not thinking disturbing thoughts. Simply be here as this openness, like infinitely open sky. And root yourself here. And then the mind may get going, but wait, you can't do that. You have to solve this problem, or this needs my attention. And that's okay, just for now, just see that as even more mind activity. The mind wants a job to do, so it's going to pull you in to solve problems. So we can soothe the mind and say, it's okay. Right in this moment, I don't need to solve this problem. It's just fine to experiment with being this openness. So we can have a friendly relationship with the mind, but still not believe what it tells you. It's just trying to do its job. Often when there's a sticky thought pattern that keeps recurring or has some kind of, has a sense of grabbiness, it grabs you, there's an emotion underneath that. So sometimes it's not just the thoughts themselves that pull you away, it's the thoughts that are driven by some emotion underneath. And to the extent that that emotion is unexplored, meaning if you don't know what it is, or you don't know that the thought pattern is emotion driven, the thoughts keep running. An example of that is a fear-based mind, that's always looking like, am I okay? What do I need to do? What problem needs to be solved? What's going to happen? Planning for the future, just planning with like that energy to it. That's a fear-based mind. So we bring attention not just to letting go of believing those thoughts, but to a deeper exploration of the emotion that's driving them. So if thoughts come up, and it's pretty easy to see them and to say, oh, I'm not going to go into that story or that belief, then that's great. That's a simple return back into presence. And sometimes when the pattern is more recurrent and has a strong hold on us, there's probably some emotion underneath that needs to be seen. Center your awareness in this openness as best you can. That is how you find the clarity so that you know what's going on in your experience. This observing presence is powerful. It's the way in to let you understand what's happening if there's a pattern that's taken hold. If there's no observing presence, there's just hamster on the wheel, automatic patterns playing out, playing out. But we bring this loving presence to what's happening, to that pattern, and then everything can change then. And I call it loving presence because it's accepting, it's not resisting. It's just noticing what is in a kind of welcoming, heartfelt way. And it sounds like maybe a method of how to do, work with a pattern, but it's what consciousness is always doing anyway. Consciousness is always completely at ease with everything that arises. And there's no unconscious, so everything is available to be seen. It's the undivided nature of reality. Everything just is. So, as best you can, again, get a sense of this pure, open mind. It's empty, so there's nothing in it. But there's an alertness there to be alive. It's a mind that's alive to what is without needing any content. So when you're ready, you can begin to open your eyes. And as you do that, see what changes and what doesn't change. Can there be this sense of open mind even when you open your eyes? There's more input from the world. You're more stimulated. See if it's possible to sustain a sense of this openness. So take a moment to feel, to be alive, to notice your aliveness. Feel whatever you feel into your experience, whatever that is.